Hello and welcome to Manga Tora 96, and today we continue with the Straw Hat crew discussion. Today's focus will be on everyone's favorite rubber captain of the Straw Hat Pirates, Luffy. This video will be in the same style like my other Straw Hat discussion videos were. I will go over Luffy's personality, his role in the story and his combat abilities. But before we start, here's a brief overview on who Luffy is. Monkey D. Luffy, also known as Straw Hat Luffy and commonly as Straw Hat, is the main protagonist of the manga and anime One Piece. He is the founder and captain of the increasingly infamous and powerful Straw Hat Pirates, as well as one of its top fighters. His lifelong dream is to become the Pirate King by finding the legendary treasure left behind by the late Goldie Roger. He believes that being Pirate King means having the most freedom in the world. Born in Fusha village, Luffy is the son of the revolutionary leader Monkey D. Dragon, the grandson of the marine hero Monkey D. Garp, the sworn brother of the late Fire Fist Portugas D. Ace, and a revolutionary chief of staff Sabo. Also, he is the foster son of Curly the Dan. He is one of the few people in the world that carry the Wheel of D. Luffy has gone up against numerous global powers around him, starting with fighting the most powerful pirates in the East Blue, and moving to clashes against the Marines, 7 warlords of the sea, world nobles and even the 4 emperors in the Grand Line, emerging victorious in a majority of those battles. Luffy's accomplishments and heritage have caused him to be labeled as a dangerous future element, earning the wrath of Fleet Admiral Sakazuki, the Marine headquarters and even the world government. Luffy has a talent for attracting followers and has unwillingly been named the leader of the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, consisting of 7 pirate crews who swore to come to his aid whenever he wishes. After learning of this and his exploit against the Big Mom pirates, the press has labeled him the 5th Emperor of the Sea, though many prominent figures consider this to be exaggerated. Those things, among other things, have given him his current bounty of 1.5 billion berry. Having had a bounty of 300 million prior to his arrival at Sabodi Archipelago, Luffy is one of the 11 rookie pirates who simultaneously reached the red line with bounties over 100 million berries, which was received from the situation in Alabasta, a group which would go on to be referred to as the worst generation, with the addition of a 12th in Blackbeard. Luffy's 2 dominant traits are his apparent lack of intelligence and his utter fearlessness. Luffy can easily be amazed by simple things such as hermit crabs, and can be confused by concepts such as that by digging a hole right next to another he may unintentionally fill the other hole. In addition, during long and complex explanation of something, he immediately calls it magic. He likes monsters and will ask weird creatures to join his crew, as seen in the Trial Bark arc asking a talking tree to join his crew. He also has no knowledge of medicine. When Nami had a high fever, he told her to eat cold food, and later tried to make Zoro better after battling Bartolomeo Kumo by pouring sake onto him because Zoro likes sake. When attempting to think up a plan to get off Amazon Lily, while he managed to make some logical sense of where to look, he is seen to strain himself and notes that he is going to feel sick from too much thinking. He is rarely disturbed by violence and bloodshed as he has fought his whole life. Even the worst battlefields rarely disturb him, except when it involves a friend or relatives, as in the case of Ace. He is seemingly unfazed by the most horrifying sights, such as a headless man left after a lost attack, or the extreme violence of Kid. Luffy's personality is like that of a child, in the sense that he tends to go to the extremes. He can either be extremely greedy, especially in case of food, who his crew is an adventurer, or extremely selfless, going so far as to virtually sacrifice himself to avenge or protect his friends, crew and family. This childish mentality of his allows him to get to the root of the problem and allows him to figure out the most simple way of solving it. He almost never gets irritated with normal people, though there are a few exceptions, like when they seem to have an opposite taste in Futasi, or when they ask if they can take a look at his privates. Luffy also has no problem with other people stretching and playing with his rubber body. However, he does get a little irritated if they are doing so while he is in the middle of eating. Luffy calls every mixed appearance creature he finds by whichever creature is the secondary, non-dominant part. On Gaimon's island, the dog chicken was referred to as a chicken when it was mostly a dog, the snake rabbit a rabbit even though it was mostly a snake, and the pig lion a lion even though it was mostly a pig. This became a running gag later when he meets Banana Bunny. He calls them bananas with crocodiles attached to them. Also, after seeing Pierre transform, he continued to refer to him as a horse instead of a bird. Unrelated to this running gag, when on Long Ring Long Land Island, he called every animal by what he thought they resembled rather than the actual species they were. Another interesting personality trait is that during sailing, he likes to sit on the bow of the ship, such as the head of the Going Merry and the Thousand Sunny, the nose of the Rocketman, the head of the right Yuda of the Kuja pirate ship, or even on top of the front cannon of a captured marine ship. Luffy's interest in women is a complex matter. Luffy acted in a aroused manner when Nami stripped, yet remained neutral when Hancock did so. This was because he was with Usopp at the time Nami stripped, as Usopp is his age and therefore a bad influence on his behavior. He also has not yet displayed any romantic inclination, having nonchalantly refused to marry Lola and Hancock without a second thought. Luffy also has indifferent behavior towards marriage. While he knows what marriage is, he does not seem to care about that concept, as when Sanji was in an arranged marriage with Pudding, he did not care if he got married and only cared more about him returning to the crew. He also did not object to Absalom trying to marry Nami and only commented on how brave he was to want to marry her. Ironically, despite his lack of interest in all things love related, Luffy has earned the affection of many women along his travels, such as Alvida's admiration, the love of Boa Hancock, etc., quite a few of whom are royalty. Luffy has shown to admire heroes, though he has stated vehemently that he really does not want to be one. His reasoning more or less translating that the definition of a good hero is to be entirely selfless. Ironically, many of Luffy's actions are mostly selfless, with his selfishness mainly revolving around his gluttony and his thirst for adventure. This trait leaves everyone he meets to think he is some kind of hero, but not by his own design. However, he is easily convinced by Jinbei for his plan of becoming a hero of Fishman Island with an agreement of meat. Luffy acquired the reputation of a very dangerous person because of his recklessness and even insanity. However, unlike other pirates who have a reputation of a psycho, like the killer of the Marines Caribou or Bellamy, for unjust violence against civilians or authorities, Luffy gained his reputation for helping his friends in the face of power, usually passing over beyond the bounds of reasoning. It is shown that Luffy can get irritated when his crew or people around him constantly whine about the danger they are in that he caused, which is mostly shown in Zou. He would appreciate if people stayed happy and cheery in those situations, like the rabbit mink Carrot. When his adopted older brother Ace was killed at Marineford, the mental strain of watching Ace die in his arm caused him to fall into a chaotic state. After waking from this state, Luffy flew into a rage and went on a destructive rampage to vent his grief and anger. Afterwards, Luffy reevaluated himself and came to the conclusion that he had been too naive and was weak and unworthy of becoming Pirate King, falling into a state of depression and self-pity. Some encouragement from Jinbei and Rayleigh gave Luffy some renewed courage to continue pursuing his dream. After the time skip, he tells Rayleigh that he will be the Pirate King, having regained his confidence to fight for his dream. Luffy is also an extremely heavy sleeper. During the operation to ruin Sanji and Pudding's wedding ceremony, Jinbei could not wake him up even after smacking him hard several times and yelling directly into his ears. Only after he was presented meat, his favorite food, did he finally wake up. Back at Water 7, Luffy woke up when his grandfather Garp hit him with his Fist of Love. Throughout the series, several characters have stated similarities between Luffy and other D carriers, whether in personality, words, action, or presence. So far he is thought to be similar to Jaguar D Saul by Robin, to Monkey D Garp by Aokiji, by at least one of the 5 elders, and by his own crew to Monkey D Dragon by Empire of Ivankov, to Goldie Roger by Smoker, Crocus, Kureha, Gunfall, Shanks, Rayleigh, Kokoro, Shakyu, and the non-canonical Raul, and to Portugal's DAs by Tama and Yamato. Luffy also has an extreme thirst for adventure, which he has stated is the main reason he wants to become the Pirate King, having the belief that the Pirate King will be the one on the entire ocean with the most freedom for adventuring. In fact, Luffy rejects becoming anyone's ruler or boss, as he wishes to be free to do whatever he wants and does not want to take away others' freedom. Such was the case when the Straw Hat Grand Fleet was formed. From the start, Luffy refused to become the fleet's boss and instead wanted the faction to be equals that come to each other's aid whenever they need each other. Because of his adventurous nature, he tends to avoid taking the easy way out at times, such as when he destroyed the Eternal Post to Nanumial Island given to him by Robin, Miss Alsande at the time, stating that he did not want an enemy to decide his destination. On Zou, when Usopp implied that it may be possible to steal the Road Poneglyphs and get to Laugh Tale without fighting the 4 Emperors at all, Luffy showed a look of extreme disappointment. He also has no intention of trying to learn what or where One Piece actually is until he finds it himself, and once stated he would quit being a pirate if his crew tried to find out, not wanting to go on a boring adventure. Luffy has no actual sense of caution, and in fact he has been known to literally laugh in the face of danger and walk into potentially harmful situations with a massive grin, as for example when the Straw Hats approached the Knockup Stream and when they decided to board the Rumber Pirates' ghost ship, and also when entering Drill Bark and while descending to Fishman Island. Luffy never says goodbye to those he considers friends in hopes of seeing them again. It has been stated more than once that Luffy's instinct and behavior are similar to that of a wild animal's, like when he knows who he has to fight before he even gets to the battle. Even his fights show that as he relies on his instinct and counterattacks, which complements the way he views the world. He is most often seen smiling, except in a fight where he is forced to use all his power, and sometimes even then. Luffy also seems to rarely change personality-wise, because he views the world in a straightforward and simple manner. He is occasionally the only person who can see past events that have taken place and realize the true goal, yet at other times he can fall into the simplest of traps. However, he is a genius when it comes to fighting, such as when he figured out how to defeat Crocodile's Devil Fruit power on the verge of death to use Zoro from sight, developed a number of effective counters to Enel's mantra ability, and most recently, learning everything Silver's Rayleigh had to teach him about hockey in a year and a half, even though Rayleigh mentioned that 2 years were too short a time to learn about hockey. In battle, Luffy has shown signs of intelligence, high tactical and innovation skills. He can easily adapt to hindering situations such as Mr. Freeze, Candle Lock or Enel's Gloam paddling into attack. He also used a mirror to reflect Fox's Noru Noru beam attack. During the Marineford arc, Drackle Mihawk mentions that Luffy seems unusually clear-headed by avoiding his attacks. Additionally, during his battle against Mihawk, he uses Buggy as a scapegoat shield to help protect him and move forward towards Ace. Luffy also has a habit of saying things with a lot more weight and occasionally wisdom than he realizes, even without thinking or meaning to. Luffy also shows significant leadership skills, which at other times he usually lacks, and therefore has his captain duties done by another crew member. An example of his leadership is usually present at the most serious and direst time, such as in Water 7 arc, in which a portion of the Straw Hats, some Galila foremen and the Frankie family are present. Luffy brings the three together by pointing out that they now have a common enemy and should form an alliance to take back what the enemy has taken. Another time could be when he takes on the burden of being a captain and does not hold back when dueling Usopp and restrains himself from calling Usopp back afterward. He also displays this in Dressrosa, when Frankie voices opposition to Trafalgar Law's plan, getting everyone on the same page by having them assist the Tontatas in their efforts to overthrow Doflamingo. Crew members also listen to his orders without question when he is serious, all respecting his position. In the Sawadee Archipelago arc, Jewelry Bonnie comments on how not just anyone could order Zoro around, since Zoro seems to be so independent and ruthless, yet he respects Luffy's commands when the time calls for it. Despite all his peculiar traits and habits, with his trademark dim-witted behavior, Luffy's most defining part of his personality is the ability to make allies out of absolutely anyone, including former enemies, villains, and even Whitebeard himself, which is said by Mihawk to be the most dangerous ability in the world. When other individuals heard Luffy mention that he, his crew, and the people they meet are friends or comrades, it touched the hearts of others who were later grateful to Luffy and his crew and supported them, like Karoo, Vivi, Nefertari Cobra, and Fukaboshi. That also applies to Nami and Chopper, who later joined the Straw Hat Pirates. As captain of the Straw Hat Pirates, Luffy has the greatest authority over a powerful and diverse crew consisting of several infamous members, many of whom are extremely powerful in their own right. Luffy has a great amount of influence over his crew, so much so that the members of his crew all trust him with their lives, both in spite of his reckless behavior and in some cases even because of it. He is also one of the 12 pirates who have been dubbed as the Worst Generation, a group of individuals who have become famous for their bold action and major conflicts they committed against the world government, and all have a bounty over 100 million berry. Indirectly, he also has claim over the Straw Hat Grand Fleet, a massive fleet consisting of 7 powerful New World crews numbering 5,600 people in total, who all swore to serve under him of their own will and come to assist him whenever he may need them. The scope of Luffy's authority is considered by the world government to be close to on par with the 4 emperors, the 4 most powerful and influential pirates in the world, and Luffy has officially been considered by the press to be the 5th emperor as a result. This is one of the reasons Luffy is considered by the world government to be extremely dangerous and currently has a bounty of 1.5 billion berry, which is surpassed by only a known few. Luffy has exhibited his threat most notably by invading all 3 of the world government's main strongholds in Paradise. He single-handedly beat at least 1,000 marines on Enies Lobby and took out 2 CP9 agents, with the invasion ultimately resulting in the destruction of Enies Lobby via Buster Call. He infiltrated the Great Prison Impel Down and orchestrated the only mass breakout in its history. He invaded Marineford during the Battle of Marineford and greatly aided the Whitebeard pirates in their ultimate unsuccessful effort to rescue Portuga's D-Ace from execution. Luffy has also significantly threatened the balance of the 3 great powers by defeating 3 members of the 7 warlords of the sea and allying with 2 others, causing Jinbei to defect from his position and Law to lose it. The world government also used Luffy to be a grave threat simply because he is the son of Monkey D. Dragon, the leader of the revolutionary army. Despite his ever-growing list of accomplishments in battle, Luffy continues to be frequently underestimated by his opponents due to his appearance and disposition. This oftentimes has ultimately proved to be an advantage for him, as it gives him leeway toward options opponents would not expect. Crocodile left Luffy for dead twice, only for Luffy to recover from his defeats and ultimately claim victory. Don Quixote do Flamingo attempted to trap Luffy in the Corrida Colosseum, expecting that he would fall victim in it, only for Luffy to escape and win over the gladiators there to his side. With constantly improving skill in battle, combined with his almost unbreakable willpower, Luffy has found ways to defeat increasingly powerful opponents that have come in his path, all while having been out at sea for less than a year, not including his 2-year training on Ruskaina. Currently, in the New World, he has contended with the 4 Emperor's top commanders, having defeated Big Mom Pirate's Suite commanders Charlotte Cracker and Charlotte Katakuri, and he seeks to aim further by taking down the 4 Emperors themselves as well as the Marine Admirals. Luffy unwillingly ate the Gomu Gomu no Mi, a Paramecia-type Delphoid, when he was 7 years old, after finding it in a chest owned by the red-haired pirates. It gives his body the properties of rubber, allowing him to stretch, bounce, bend, twist, and inflate any part of his body. Initially, Luffy was unable to control his stretching, but was able to master it after 10 years of training on Dawn Island, and further master it during the 2 years he spent training with Silver Rayleigh on Ruskaina. He is able to stretch any part of his body. He can stretch his arms to extend the reach of his punches, stretch his legs to extend the reach of his kicks, and stretch his neck to extend the reach of his headbutt. His stretching also allows him to reach faraway places, as he can stretch and grab onto something at that location and pull himself there. He can also use his stretch arms to launch himself like a slingshot. He can further enhance his attack power by twisting his body parts around each other and spinning them. Defensively, Luffy, being made of rubber, is completely immune to lightning. He also cannot be harmed by blunt attacks not embedded with armament haki, including punches, blunt weapons, and even being stepped on by gigantic opponents. If struck by blunt projectiles such as bullets or cannonballs, he can bounce them back towards the place it came from, potentially threatening the one who launched it. He can also easily survive falling from great heights. He can suck in a large amount of air to inflate his torso like a balloon. His inflated belly greatly enhances his rubbery defenses and his ability to bounce things back. It also keeps him from sinking if he falls into the water. During his pirating adventure, Luffy has found new ways to utilize his Delfruit in combat, creating gears. Gear 2 was first seen on Enies Lobby. Luffy increases the size of his blood vessels, causing his blood to flow more quickly and pumping more oxygen and nutrition throughout his body. This greatly increases his speed and power, as in this form he is capable of keeping up with users of the Soru technique and to overwhelm the defensive capabilities Teikai technique. Initially, Luffy activated this by pumping blood throughout his legs to activate the effect across his entire body, but after the time skip, he has shown to have more control over it and can activate it in any selected part of his body. Before his 2-year training, the usage of Gear 2 depleted his energy quickly and even threatened his lifespan, but in the present day, its effects appear to have been reduced. Gear 3 was first seen on Enies Lobby. By blowing a massive amount of air into his thumb, Luffy can inflate the bones of a particular part of his body, making it gigantic. Those inflated body parts are capable of inflicting damage on a massive scale, being able to break through walls and large structures with ease, and Gear 3 power became magnified when Luffy learned to use armament haki during the time skip. Initially, Gear 3 would cause Luffy to shrink to the size of a child after its use, temporarily limiting his fighting capabilities until his body returned to normal. However, this no longer happens after Luffy's 2 years of training. Gear 4 was created during Luffy's 2 years training on Ruskaina and was first seen on Dressrosa. By blowing into his arm, Luffy inflates the muscles in his entire body and covers it with armament haki. Taking on the 3 forms, the first form, Boundman, makes his composition akin to a rubber ball, causing him to bounce all the time. Luffy is capable of retracting his arm and legs inside of his body, unleashing blows of devastating power, as well as being able to change the direction of his attacks. His defense also increases, with the most attacks bouncing off his body. The second form, Tankman, makes Luffy much bigger and increases his defensive abilities, allowing him to use them as a weapon via the recoil blasting opponents away. The third form, Snakeman, is slimmer and focuses on offense, lacking the defensive capabilities of the other 2 forms. Luffy is granted a tremendous increase in attack speed and frequently changes the direction of his attacks to assault his opponents from every direction. However, in addition to being weakened, he will be unable to use haki for 10 minutes until it recharges. Using Gear 4 multiple times in a short amount of time will take a toll on his body. After training at the Udon prison mine under Hyogoro in order to advance his armament haki in preparation for the raid on Onigashima, Luffy refined his usage of Gear 4, seemingly being able to both activate it without muscle balloon and remain standing afterward, both of which he couldn't do beforehand. Luffy is among the very small number of people in the world who can use all 3 types of haki. Notably, he was instructed in the use of haki by Silver Rayleigh, the former first mate of the Roger Pirates, during a 2-year time skip. Luffy has shown to have a very noticeable talent for haki, having mastered the basics of all 3 types in a year and a half under Rayleigh. Since he started fighting against the strongest members of the 4 Emperors crew, he's learned how to use more advanced levels of haki and has since mastered them as well. Luffy possesses Supreme King's Haki, a very rare type of Haki, whose users are said to have the qualities of a king. This power was latent within him, and was first seen used at the Flying Fish Riders base to stop the Bison Motobaro. Luffy then unintentionally used it in the arena with Amazon Lily to stop Margaret's group from being killed, in level 5 of Impel Down to knock out attacking wolves, and at Marineford to knock out the executioners who were about to kill Ace. Rayleigh then taught him about his power on Ruskaina, and Luffy trained to use it at will. After the time skip, Luffy used it to knock out the members of the fake Straw Hat crew, and at Fishman Island he was able to knock out 50,000 members of the new Fishman Pirates in an instant. When he fought against fellow Supreme King Haki users Chinchao, Don Quixote do Flamingo and Charlotte Katakuri, their clashes created a notable effect similar to lightning. Even when unconscious, Luffy could still use Supreme King's Haki. After Kaido knocked him out, Luffy used his Haki on some of the Beast Pirates before they took him into custody. Luffy has also used this Haki to subdue and tame dangerous and powerful animals and make them into his allies. Examples are Surume, Use, and Hihimaru. Luffy learned to use Observation Haki during the 2 years time skip. With it, he is capable of sensing the presence, emotion, and intent of others and greatly aiding his reflexes to dodge attacks such as bullets. He is highly proficient at using this Haki, that he can even predict attacks from beings with little to no emotions, like a pacifista. He also casually dodges Hodi's Yabasume, as well as a volley of thrown weapons by Gen Ango, a powerful master marksman. While in Totoland, he significantly strengthened this Haki by battling Katakuri, who had mastered this Haki enough to enable him to see a little bit into the future. After many hours of applying Observation Haki, Luffy was able to visualize Katakuri's next moves extremely well and develop his Haki enough to dodge many of Katakuri's attacks and prevent Katakuri from dodging his. After leaving Totoland, Luffy has been able to dodge attacks with even greater ease, as shown when he instantly took out a Beast Pirate scout in Wano country as soon as they came to him, and afterward dodged multiple strikes from the Sumo Master Urashima without displaying any effort. He can now see the future as fluidly as Katakuri, as shown when he helped Hyogoro dodge multiple attacks from Alapakaman and Madiloman before they happened. He later stopped Warden Babanuki's attack, stating that he did it because he saw a terrible future. Luffy learned to use Armament Haki during the 2 years time skip. He regularly uses it in combat in the New World to increase his defensive and attack power, and is now able to strike Lugia users such as Caesar Clown and those with powers similar to that of a Lugia, like Katakuri. His Gear form heavily uses Armament Haki to the point of depleting it in a relatively short amount of time, and while in Gear 4, his compressed Haki takes the shape of flames. In the New World, Armament Haki has been a great boon to Luffy's power, as he is quite noticeably weakened whenever he is unable to use it. He had no hope of injuring Doflamingo while his Haki was recharging, and while his Haki was recharging on Nuts Island, he was unable to punch through Charlotte's Peru candy wall, even with Gear 4. Luffy's Armament Haki has the potential to be strengthened, as he has faced opponents with a strong caliber of Haki than him, such as Charlotte Cracker and Katakuri. Luffy's Armament Haki further condenses while in Gear 4, allowing Luffy to counter and break past Cracker's and Katakuri's extremely powerful Armament Haki. While in Udon, Luffy had started to advance his Armament Haki to bypass Kaido's tough skills after recalling how Rayleigh was able to deflect and damage an enormous elephant on Ruskaina without touching it. Amidst his instruction to project his Haki a short distance from him, he inadvertently advances to a higher grade Armament Haki, where he channels Haki into the body of his targets, thus letting him destroy them from the inside out. This happened during a desperate attempt to tear off the death collars off of himself and Hyogoro. After training relentlessly non-stop for a week under Hyogoro's supervision by striking a thick steel block with Haki-enhanced punches, Luffy now appears to be able to emanate his Armament Haki at will, as seen when he was able to blast a hole through the opposite side of a tree by emanating Haki from his hardened fist. He was later seen to be able to remove the explosive handcuffs off of a Yamato by destroying them from the inside out. showing continuous control over this higher grade armament haki. When he took on Kaidos following his training, Luffy demonstrated his haki to be advanced enough to hurt the Emperor's immensely tough body, which very few attacks can damage. There's a lot more I could talk about Luffy, but this is already a long enough video as it is, so it's the perfect time to end it here. Now with Luffy's video, I finished the Straw Hat Crew discussion, and for next week, well, it will be a surprise. And that will be all for this video. If you like this video, leave a like, leave your thoughts in the comments below, or subscribe to the channel for more One Piece content as well as other manga content, and until next time, take care.